Hello, my name's James from plumberparts.co.uk and we've teamed up with Dyno today to give you a few tips on the preventative measures you can take on your boiler. Now hopefully if you follow them it should save you from having any problems further down the line, should help you save money on your heating bills, and they could even prevent you from having a call out. Remember, if you're not happy doing any of the preventative measures that we outline in this video, it's best you get a professional in, like a dyno engineer, to do them for you. Anyway, let's pop in and have a look at what we can do, and I hope you enjoy the video. So the first and most important thing we can do when it comes to a boiler preventative measure is to make sure that the flueways here are clear. Make sure there's nothing leaning up against the flue, make sure there's no greenery or foliage growing around it. The flue we've got here is a balanced flue, so it draws air inside to combust on the outer ring and then blows combusted air out of the inner ring, and it's so important that this is kept clear. If you don't keep the boiler flueways unobstructed, it will completely impede the boiler's operation, it could soot up leaving you with a hefty bill, and it could also result in gases spilling into the room that could include carbon monoxide. Another thing to consider is that a lot of the new modern condensing boilers have quite a lot of condense pipe outside. Now this has a slow trickle of water in it and it is susceptible to freezing. So make sure that the pipe is insulated, just like this one here. So if we pop inside, we find that the boiler is nice and snugly hidden away in this cupboard here. Now another really important part of boiler maintenance is to make sure that it's not covered in loads of stuff. For one, it makes it very difficult for an engineer to get to it if there's a problem, but also it presents a fire hazard. So the next thing I'd say you should do is add an inhibitor to your heating system. What an inhibitor does is stops the water from reacting with the inside components of the boiler and the radiators. If you don't have a suitable inhibitor in the heating system, the water's going to react with the inside of those components and cause rust and sludge, air as well, which can result in airlocks and the system not working properly. It's easy to add, and one tub of inhibitor will dose a standard system of say 1 boiler and 10 to 15 radiators. Usually what I do is find a certain radiator, shut both radiator valves off, open the bleed key at the top to dissipate the pressure, then get a small tub and crack the nut at the bottom of the radiator. Let all of the water out of the radiator and then you can tighten your bottom nut up. Then you can remove the bleed key at the top completely and use a funnel or hose to pour your inhibitor into the radiator. Once you've done that, pop your bleed key back in and tighten that up, and then you can open up both valves and bleed the radiator. You successfully added inhibitor to your heating system. It's cheap and easy to do, and really there's no excuse for not doing it. The next piece of advice I can give you is to not set your boiler temperature too high. It's always a good idea to set your boiler to about 75 degrees. Any higher than that and you can risk a problem known as kettling. What that is the boiler gets so hot, especially at the top, that it starts to turn the water into steam. This can create a problem with corrosion. It can also make the boiler go out on high limit and could result in you having to call out an engineer. So what we need to do now is set this boiler down to 75 degrees. This boiler's got a notch for E, which stands for economy, and a lot of boilers have that on there as well. Some will also show you where the 75 degree point is. Always refer to the manufacturer's instructions if you're not sure. The next thing I say you could do is invest in an inline magnetic filter on the return pipe back to the boiler. What an inline magnetic filter does is remove the magnetic magnetites like the iron oxide or any of the sludge that could be present inside the heating system and stop that going into the boiler, which could impede the boiler's operation and its efficiency. If we have a look at this house here, we can see that the magnetic filter's been installed on the return back to the boiler, and therefore it's completely protected from any debris in the heating system. It's a great idea to install one of these magnetic filters on the return to the boiler. They work really well and have the added addition of being a dosing pot for the heating system, so you can pop inhibitor in there. I hope this video has given you a better idea about the simple steps you can take to prevent any problems with your boiler. Remember, if you're not happy with doing any of the preventative measures that we outline in this video, it's best you get a qualified professional like a dyno engineer to come in and do it for you. Anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Bye bye.